The parade is not only a day off for the thousands of workers here in the Bahamas, but it's also a day to remember those who helped make it all happen. At the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas, for the CNN World Report, I'm Chris Saunders.
Good night, everyone. I'm Chris Saunders. That's what's going on right now. Join us at 7 for all the day's top stories. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Chris Saunders.
Starting on Black American universities with roots in Africa and now moving to the Bahamas and the Caribbean, stepping has truly gone global. For the CNN World Report at the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas, I'm Chris Saunders.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Chris Saunders. Here's what's making news right now. Police say a taxi driver has become the country's latest murder victim. ZNS News has learned the victim is East Street South resident Stafford Bain. He has worked for Meter Cab for the past 5 years. Police say Bain called his company's dispatch around 2:45 this morning to say he'd been shot. When police found him, he was slumped over in his car, dead, with multiple gunshot wounds to the body. Police aren't sure whether he was robbed or whether his assailant may have been a passenger. Also, the government today is tracking down Bahamians who may have been trapped in Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. Already, the Minister for Foreign Affairs says they have accounted for all Bahamian prisoners being held in those states and are now working on locating students who may have been affected by Hurricane Katrina. Minister Fred Mitchell says the government is also working out what form of support to offer to Americans displaced as a result of that devastating storm. And just this hour, the governor of Louisiana has said that the entire city of New Orleans has to be evacuated. Army engineers are in the city trying to plug the breached levees by pulling giant sandbags and concrete barriers into place.
Police and paramedics used the jaws of life to pry the woman out of the vehicle. As they pulled her bloody body out of the crushed car, she was rushed to a waiting ambulance where she was attended to. The two babies were also treated on the scene by paramedics. Police say, though, it is unclear if the babies were in the front or back seat of the car. The woman and the two babies were rushed to the hospital. The man in the car and the ambulance driver were also taken to the hospital. It is unclear if the driver was the only person in the ambulance at the time of the collision. Eyewitnesses and police said the ambulance was heading south on East Street and the Green Sunny was traveling east on Wolf Road. At the intersection is where they collided.
I was in the yard, right? Man, I just see his ambulance come flying down East Street, right? I see the car. Excuse me. I see the car right there, right? Man, all I know, man. I see the, oh, that bomb. I see the car doing bad spin in the bus right there.
Hundreds of people clamored to get a glimpse of the ambulance and the car that sat on the side of the road as police investigated the crash.
Countries around the world have national holidays to highlight employment and workers' issues. In the Bahamas, the big day falls in June.
Thousands of workers take full advantage of the day off to march through the streets of the country in a show of solidarity for the country's workers. Just about every union in the country hiked through the streets, from telecommunications to police officers to teachers. Now, there are some who don't get to parade but stay on the sidelines to get a glimpse of those marching. And there are still some who have an easier time than others. And then there are those who just have a bit more fun than the rest of us. The country's Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Perry Christie, also mingled with the crowd on the parade that snaked through the city's streets. Cabinet ministers took off their suits and put on their dancing shoes as well to enjoy the festivities.
Today is a day of celebration for the long road that workers have come from time immemorial to where we are today, and that we should cherish the rights that we have and do all we can to build a great nation.
The parade started almost a half-century ago as a show of solidarity between workers. In 1961, a prominent labor leader, Sir Randall Fawkes, made a motion in Parliament for the creation of Labor Day as a paid public holiday. It passed, and later that year, the first parade weaved through the streets of Nassau. Now today, the parade is not only a day off for the thousands of workers here in the Bahamas, but it's also a day to remember those who helped make it all happen. At the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas, for the CNN World Report, I'm Chris Saunders. The step show put on by the Bahamas Pan-Hellenic Council brought out the best in the country. But it was the sisters here from Alpha Kappa Alpha and the brothers from Phi Beta Sigma, which won their divisions at the show. Stepping has been around for some time now. It actually started out as singing and chanting by black fraternity members, mainly on black American college campuses. They eventually grew into rhythmic steps, elaborate dances, and then huge shows. It's believed that fraternity brothers started stepping in the early 20s, and the sorority sisters soon followed. Stepping is usually associated with the men of the organizations, but the ladies would definitely disagree.
As members of fraternities and sororities, this is something that we've been doing from a long time, and it did not originate from us. This is something that has gone as far back in history as Africans. We know that dancing is a huge part of the tradition, and we've just simply added that as a part of what we do, and it's an expression. Just as they express themselves when they dance as a release, then we do the same thing, and we've made it in a form of entertainment and a way for people to enjoy what it is that we're doing also.
It started out first as things that they did on the yard to showcase their talents among each other, to differentiate themselves, and then later on it just blossomed into a competition and now an art.
Some get so lost in the sheer precision of the steps and the hype surrounding each group that it's easy to forget stepping is only a way to show off these fraternal organizations.
Our main purpose and our existence is to give back to the communities in which we reside, and that is really what's important. This is a lot of fun. It's a way for us to, to let go, release. It's also a fundraiser, but our purpose for existence is to give back to the community, and this is simply a way to facilitate us to do that by the funds that are raised.
Starting on black American universities with roots in Africa and now moving to the Bahamas and the Caribbean, stepping has truly gone global. For the CNN World Report at the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas, I'm Chris Saunders.
It hurts to lose a good friend.
Family and friends clamored for a spot in St. Barnabas Church this morning for Henry Curry's funeral. Many will miss his tall, quiet presence and soft-spoken nature that was a huge contrast to the player he was on the court.
He was almost like the coach on the court. In his senior year, he was the captain of the team, and he was always encouraging the other players to work hard, and he had a no-nonsense attitude.
Jesus said, "Let not your hearts be troubled. Believe in God. Believe also in me."
How could you scale the amount of pain you feel for a friend, Like I say, he's close to almost like a brother to me. To know that he's not there to call on or to hail up or to invite to another tournament to play, and just he'll be missed.
Henry joined the police force in 2003 and was placed with the band and then the Drug Enforcement Unit. While off duty on East Street on Independence morning, he was shot dead. One man has since been charged with his death.
Slammed down by Henry Curry. Comes to Francis, back to Curry. Curry driving, hanging, bikes it in.
Henry played basketball from a very young age. He started at St. John's College and moved to R.M. Bailey and S.C. McPherson. In 1995, he was a part of the Pacers team that made it to the Hugh Campbell final. He's also played in almost every league in New Providence and even leads his church basketball team.
Very, very good athlete, and he got along with everybody. I don't know, wasn't really any flaws about him,
Henry was much more than a brother, an officer, or even a player. To those who will miss him, he was simply a friend.